Hello everyone, Amanda here, thanks for joining me. So today we're starting a new challenge over on my Facebook group, Create with Scrimping Mummy. We previously did the altered playing cards and completed a full deck. That will be a suggested video around about here towards the end. So now we're on to index cards. So we're going to do these for a period of 6 weeks. If we like them, we'll carry on going for another 6. So I've said in my group, you know, the index cards that I have are these that are in a little book, a revision book. They're already bound, so it just makes a cute little form of art journal. But typically you find them loose, you know, they're quite thin, and you put them in little boxes and write information or addresses or whatever, and you can get them in various sizes. So the size that I'm using is approximately 4 inches by 6, which is about, is it 15 by 10 in centimetres. Now I have said that if you've got the smaller ones, use the smaller ones. If you don't have anything, then use some old scrapbooking paper or some leftover cardstock and do the 6 by 4 size, which is what I'm doing. But essentially use what you've got. You don't have to go out and buy them. It's just, you know, an index card is just something that a lot of people have. If you don't, like I say, use what you've got. Excuse me while I just grab a quick drink. So each week over on my group I'm going to give a prompt and then obviously interpret however you like and go away and create. So this week's prompt, I used the Tim Holtz paper dolls as the basic idea of the prompt. So the prompt is not necessarily these, because not everybody has these, but, you know, photographic people, okay? So it's kind of like social history. So if you don't have the paper dolls or you don't have any digital collections that you can print out, you can have a look on Pinterest. And I've actually printed out something from Pinterest as mine. This is Lily Elise. So I found a photograph of her and I've cut her out. So she's my paper doll. So I've not had to buy her. I found her for free on Pinterest. Okay, if you don't have a printer, have a look in a magazine or a catalogue and cut somebody out of there. There's always a way of doing everything. Alright, so what I've done here, I've glued 2 together because they are quite thin. So I have glued 2 together, but I mean they're inexpensive. This whole entire book was under £2. It was either £1 or £1.99, I can't remember. But it's an inexpensive way of creating yourself a little journal. And if you do them loose, you know, you can bind them or you can stick them in a journal at a later date. Right, so let's stop waffling and let's get creative. Okay, so I did decide to fast forward the video and do a voiceover because it took me around 30 minutes to create this page. So I'm using a collection of digital images that I purchased from Sampool, and these I believe are images of fabric, and because you can see the weave in them, so they're ever so pretty. So I've decided to add 1 to each corner, and I'm going for more collage this week than mixed media. The index cards are a little bit thin, and I just think that doing mixed media on non-watercolour paper and non-media paper is not, it doesn't work very well. You don't get good results. So I'm just collaging, and I'm using my gel matte medium here, using it sparingly so it doesn't make the paper go, you know, soggy and mushy. So you use it to glue it on, and then if you paint a light thin layer over the top to seal it, that then means that whatever you put over that paper, because it's only copy paper, it won't destroy the image, it won't make the paper go mushy, it won't make the ink run, and so you've got a nice base to layer over the top, sorry. So then I'm using dictionary paper. Now I started ripping it in strips and then decided I should have just ripped a big large piece to go all the way across the middle instead of doing it in sections like this. However, it adds interest because it means, you know, the words are side by side. It's just a little bit different, and it's a background layer anyway. You're not going to see heaps of it, so I wasn't wasting the pieces that I'd already torn because I'm a little bit tight. And I love dictionary paper. You can pick them up from charity shops. They're never expensive, and I always go for the ones with the really thin, almost like tissue paper. They're perfect for collage. They really are. They don't necessarily have to be vintage or old, they're just really useful. So if you see one, pick one up. I never pay more than about £1 for them, and they will last you a while. So I've ended up with like this going through the middle, so I've got like 3 sections, and then that gives me like a centre focal point to put my paper doll, which is of course Lily Elise. I always thought Lily Elise was French, but apparently she's not. I don't know why I thought she was French. But she's so beautiful, and she's everywhere. Her images are, you know, the royalty, what do you call them? Royalty free. You know, you can take them and print them out, they're fine. They don't belong to anybody. So then I've just added some watercolour. It's either gouache or gouache. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Gouache. It's like a matte kind of. You end up with quite a matte look when you use it, and you water it down. It looks like normal white acrylic paint, but when you water it down and add it on, you get a very kind of chalky matte look. It's nice, and obviously it's quite thin. Whereas my gesso is quite thick, and so I've got that like chalky layer, but I can still see my writing underneath, so that's a new purchase to me. And then I'm just looking for bits and bobs to add on to my collage. Again, these are from the sample. I can't think what the name of, I'm terrible with the names of things, I'm so sorry. I can't think the name of the digital kit, but it's got lots of fussy cuts, and then it's got some of her photographs on there as well. It's the latest one. If you go and search sample designs on Etsy, you will find it. So yeah, I'm just using my gel medium again there. Now gel medium is better than Mod Podge in my opinion, because when I've used Mod Podge before, it leaves a sticky residue, and I find it difficult to stamp on the top. Things just don't stick to it. Whereas with your matte medium or your gel mediums, that doesn't happen. So that's why I don't use Mod Podge, don't like it. I don't like the feel of it on my skin either, it's awful. But some people love it. So then I'm adding little bits of that matte watercolour. No, it's not watercolour, it's acrylic. Like, it dries like matte. It's lovely. And then I've got a new acrylic paint, which is like a peachy pink colour. So I'm adding some of that on as well. And just thinking of how I can further decorate without going too over the top, because it is only a small space. So here I'm using modelling paste, and what I was showing you there is that I purchased what's called texture paste. Don't use texture paste on stencils, it's too thin. So to my horror, I bought the wrong thing. So I'm using my old modelling paste, which is nearly running out. So modelling paste for stenciling, don't get texture paste, it's too thin. You can add corn flour or baby powder to it, but I'll just use it for something else. I'll use it for adding texture rather than stenciling. So yeah, so I still need to get some more modelling paste. So I've just added a little floral cluster to each corner there, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm a little bit out of shot, I do apologise. Hopefully it'll move back in a minute. Drying it off, and then I'm going around the edge of the image there with a Inktense pencil, and it's the outline pencil, so it's not as intense when you add water to it as the black one. It's more of a like a charcoal smoky kind of a look. I'm trying to smudge it with a paper stump there, but I do go back later and do it with a water brush. Okay, so then I'm looking for a word. I go to the good old Tim Holtz washi tapes. You can always find some perfect words there. And I've just kept it quite generic. I think I've just put treasure memories, something like that. So it's a bit non-specific for my first prompt, but the focus is meant to be the image of the person, because that's what the prompt was. So again, I'm just outlining with the Inktense pencils, which I do love. And once you've added the water to them and you've done, then it don't move, it stays permanent. Then I decide that I need something to edge with, and so I add some bronze acrylic paint to my palette. I add way too much paint to my palettes, way too much. But at the end, when I've done, I did use it, and I used my brayer and used up the leftover paint and decorated some pages with it. Now, because I can't leave things alone, I carry on going. I should have left it at this stage, and I wish I'd left the texture paste just white, but I can't leave things alone, and so I start adding some of the peachy paint to it. Now, I do like watercolours on texture paste, but like because this is a just index cards, I just know from experience that starting with watercolours and things like that, you don't get a very good result unless you're using media paper or watercolour paper. So I decided to use my paints instead, and add some of that bronzy coloured paint. Now, when you're holding it in your hand, it does look bronze. On the video, it looks like brown, but it does have a metallic shine to it. In real life, it's quite a decent, nice little paint. And then I'm just edging with a little thin brush just to give my page a border. And that should more or less complete that. I've enjoyed that. I hope you'll give altered index cards a try. And hope you like it. Bye for now.